And we begin at 5 with the big race in the Washington primary, the 3rd congressional district, and the fight between Republican candidates to make it through the general election. Now, in the last 24 hours, Trump-backed Joe Kent widening the gap with incumbent Jamie Herrera Butler. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. And just minutes ago, we received the latest vote totals from Clark County, and that accounts for almost all of the remaining votes in the county. Let's bring in Pat Doris in the newsroom. So, Pat, what do these numbers from Clark County show?
Well, David, it shows that Jamie Herrera Butler, who's held her seat in Congress for 12 years, this might be the end of her string of victories. Right now, by our unofficial count, which does include nearly all of Clark County's votes added in the last half hour, Kent is still ahead by 869 votes. And as David said, this is the final big batch of numbers, so it is not looking very likely that Herrera Butler will be able to overcome him. It is indeed looking likely that Joe Kent is going to move on to the general election. The Associated Press has not called the race, but we know there are very few votes left to count at this point. Kent's a former Green Beret who's endorsed by former President Trump. He ran politically to the right of Herrera Butler. Washington elections send the top 2 vote getters on to the general election, no matter which party they're from. Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez is already assured of moving on after getting the most votes out of the election. So it really was down to this battle between the 2 Republicans. Our political expert Len Bergstein points out the seat has national implications since Democrats have a slim lead in the U.S. House. He said if Joe Kent is the Republican candidate, the seat, which was solidly Republican, could flip to the Democrats.
But it sets up a very interesting campaign where this 3rd congressional district, which has been a stronghold for the Republicans for these 6 terms, and Jamie Herrera Butler has held off challenges very effectively. It might not be quite so easy for the Republicans to hold on to this particular race with an unknown and untested person like Joe Kent.
Clark County had 10,000 votes to count today. Nearly all of those are done now and in the process of being posted by the Washington Secretary of State's office. Again, I've had a chance to glance at them, and they do show Joe Kent in the lead by 869 votes. And at this point, the gap is not small enough to trigger an automatic recount.
You know, 869 votes, and you talk about the majority being counted. I think between Cowlitz County, Lewis County, Pacific, and some others, there may be 500 or 600 other votes out there, but potentially it looks like not enough to change the race. But we'll be watching as those numbers come in. All right. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it. Well, from a heated race to cooler weather, did you catch the heavy clouds and even some of the rain showers over Portland earlier? You know, I saw some paddlers on the Willamette caught out in what appeared to be a sudden downpour. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. Matt, what are we looking at this evening?
A sudden sprinkle, perhaps. Yeah, the rain hasn't lasted very long in the Willamette Valley, nor will it. But a lot of thunderstorms over and east of the Cascades, and some of these now have become severe. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for this area to the west of Bend. That's up around Sisters and Mount Bachelor. That continues until 5:45 tonight. So, again, some of these storms producing a lot of lightning, as you saw, heavy downpours and some strong winds as well. Now, we had lightning last night east of Sandy at Swoosh McDuck, sending in this video via social media. Thank you, Swoosh McDuck, for sharing your video where you see that lightning bolt there, kind of a horizontal affair. And our best chance of getting more thunder and lightning will be over and east of the Cascades. There is a slight chance that we would see a shower or even a thunderstorm develop or move over the Willamette Valley tonight, but it's a very small chance, and most of us won't see that. So it'll be mainly up over the Cascades. Tomorrow, though, it'll be cloudy in the morning and cooler, even cooler than today, and then a gradual warm up this weekend. We may be heading through the last couple of weeks of August, but summer weather is not done with us yet, David.
No, it is. You took a look, you just vanished there.
It's magic.
It was magic. Not done with us yet, right? All right, let's give you an update this evening on efforts to battle the McKinney fire. Now at 55% containment, the fire has burned more than 60,000 acres in Northern California near the Oregon border. Some counties, because of the containment, lifting evacuation orders, though officials want to remind folks to be vigilant since those evacuation zones continue to change. You know, some of the good news here due to a lot of hard work over the weekend as crews made really critical progress along fire lines.
And what that involves is mopping up inside that line, 100, 200 feet to make sure that we take that heat out to reduce the chance of fires escape. And we're going to see how they hold in weather conditions that are not your typical conditions that you have in the area.
Now, 4 people have been killed since that fire sparked on July 29th. One of those, Kathy Shootman, a longtime lookout in the Klamath National Forest. Well, for the second time in a month, a popular chain in our area has announced it is closing one of its stores. The Jansen Beach Cracker Barrel shut down this week, and without notice, as Mike Benner reports, it appears once again to come down to safety.
Tuesday morning at the Jansen Beach Cracker Barrel, a man and woman looking for a bite to eat were shocked to find it closed and boarded up. Same goes for people who live and work in the neighborhood.
Like, what's going on?
We reached out to Cracker Barrel to find out. A spokesperson told us the closure comes after an evaluation of the store's performance using various criteria. But off camera, employees told us management called an emergency meeting Monday to announce the restaurant was closing due to security issues, something neighbors know all about.
Gross. That's the best way to describe it. There's a lot of theft, people on drugs.
A quick look around the area confirms that. We spotted drug paraphernalia, discarded clothes tags, and abandoned shopping carts.
I would think that a retail restaurant would not be affected that much by the crime and the drug problems, that sort of thing.
While the abrupt closure of a business like Cracker Barrel may be surprising to some, it won't be to others. Just look at what happened back in mid-July.
That's when the coffee giant Starbucks announced it was closing its stores at Southwest 4th and Morrison and Northeast Halsey and 102nd. A third store in the Hollywood district has since closed as well. And more than a dozen other Starbucks stores across the country were also shut down. The reason? Safety concerns for staff and customers. One customer telling us this at the time.
Oh, it's a bummer. I mean, it's where I go all the time, where my whole office goes.
And chances are you'll find a similar sentiment among longtime customers of the Jansen Beach Cracker Barrel, where on Tuesday we saw items being moved out and food donated to a nonprofit following the sudden closure of the restaurant.
It's very disappointing. It's like that was a good restaurant.
If there's a silver lining in any of this, it's that employees will have a chance to transfer to other stores in the area, namely the Cracker Barrels in Tualatin and Beaverton. Reporting in North Portland, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
And let's talk more about Portland's homeless crisis, where some camps along Northeast 33rd Drive, that is a stretch filled with tents and RVs, are being forced to move. Crews say they are clearing camps and installing concrete blocks to deter more campers. It's all part of an effort to clear Peabody property. One person says this is the second time Peabody has moved him and his friends in just the past 6 months. Now, hear directly from the campers being displaced and what some say they want more than anything. That is tonight at 6 on The Story. Well, let's turn to the ongoing debate in local school districts on whether to keep their school resource officers, or SROs. Now, Portland and Salem-Keizer have gotten rid of theirs. Beaverton is now reviewing its own program, and a new report is giving some insight into what students and parents think. It turns out less than half of students surveyed supported having SROs in schools. Nearly a third, though, said they didn't know anything about SROs. The report also found less than 20% of students, staff, and parents actively opposed SROs in schools. Now, here is one of the people involved in putting all these findings together.
You know, many people in this review process that we talked to, nearly 9,000, said a lot of people said that they really support SROs, in part because they believe, or they want to believe, that SROs stop school shootings from occurring. And the evidence just simply does not support that belief and that perception.
Well, the district debated the issue on Monday. No final decision was made, which means for now, Beaverton still plans to use SROs when the new school year starts in September.